Well, good Thursday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we've got another jam-packed show. We'll talk NBA Finals, of course. We'll talk a little news out of Durant, the Knicks, some NFL news around camp, some injuries, some walkouts, some baseball news. We've got another 559 fight ahead of their 559 Fights 115 coming up this Saturday at Eagle Mountain. All sorts of news and notes. Feel free to jump in anytime. Text in 661-842-2000. What'd you think about Game 3? What do you think about the finals? What do you think about Stanley Cup, NFL? Anything you want to send in anytime. 661-842-2000.
And we will get to those text messages at some point during the show. But, I mean, we got to start with the NBA, right? Everybody got shocked again as the Pacers did it one more time. Can't lose 2 games in a row. That's what we said yesterday. That's what they came in with in mindset-wise. And the Pacers made it work. They won 116-107 last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. And honestly, Tyrese Halliburton figured it out. Pascal Siakam figured it out. Mathurin, thank goodness, off the bench
That
was
whole damn
massive. They figured it out. I think that this is, as we said on Monday, with everybody criticizing Tyrese Halliburton, saying he needs to be the one to take the ball away and make these shots. I believe I was one of the ones that said, no. Stick to what got you here. Play cohesive team basketball. That is what's going to win this championship for you if you're the Indiana Pacers. I think this game was a testament to that. What say you, my friend?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing. I was texting back and forth with our boy Flail, and yeah, he is a little cocky with these Pacers, but I would say the same thing. I mean, Tyrese came out. He had a gaming. I mean, he was actually shooting the ball, and I think that was the answer. Of course, the bench putting up what I think it was 49-18. The bench scored over OKC, and OKC looked lost at times, and it almost felt like I was bumping my head against the wall because it felt like SGA trying to be Brunson and doing 1-on-5. I'm like, dude, play the team basketball that got you here. And it just felt like he was trying to do too much. And the Pacers were like, dude, you're not going to beat us. It's the NBA Finals. It's not just a regular season game.
No.
And I think it played out. Of course, in the fourth quarter, the Pacers looked good. Whether it was the bench or not, they played team basketball. And that's what's going to win the finals, whether it's them or OKC. I still think it's going to be OKC, but they're going to have to give their head out of where they're at and play team basketball. And I would hope that OKC shakes it off and comes in and plays team basketball in game 4. But I'm going to say it too. If the Pacers play like they did last night and OKC doesn't show up, I think the series is over.
Well, at this point, and the other guy we have to highlight majorly in this game is TJ McConnell. 5 steals in this game. Absolute disruptor. Was taking away inbounds passes. I mean, he looked great throughout the entire game and really helped them in the 15 minutes he was in it. But I have to agree with you, Spark. I think, but if there's any other team besides the Pacers that's good at bouncing back from losses, it's the Thunder. So should we expect a big blowout loss for the Pacers in game 4? I wouldn't say blowout, but I would expect an answer from the Thunder, and most likely we go back to Oklahoma City 2-2. But this is a great step forward for the Pacers because, true, you may be leaving and going back to Oklahoma tied at the very worst of it all, but you are the one with the step forward. And if you can continue the style of basketball that you have been playing, I think that you could pull off a win in Oklahoma City. That team that you saw last night in game 3 was a vastly different team that showed up in game 2. Obviously led by a completely different mindset when it comes to Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. But when you have the bench depth that they have, and like I said on Monday, you were going to need a Nembhard or a Naismith or a Mathurin to step up for you and be that guy to really score the basketball, because that's when they actually succeed. is when one of the other guys is the one that gets into the 20-point level. Granted, they have a long history of everybody getting into double figures, probably about 6 to 7 people in a game. But you need one of those guys in double figures at least to jump into the 20s and 30s. And when it's a guy like Naismith or Neindhard or Matherin, I don't know exactly what the stats are, but I'd venture to say probably about 80% of the time the Pacers win that game. So I think that needs to be the mindset going forward. Who's going to be the guy that's outside of Pascal and Tyrese that's going to step up every single game? It doesn't have to be the same guy, but it's got to be somebody. And that's where the success is going to be for the Pacers. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and you were right. I mean, Pacers are 5-0 after losses and no back-to-back losses since March.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they looked good. I would say the third quarter, I mean, the first half was back and forth. I don't think there was more of a lead than 4 or 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
And that third quarter was just ugly on both sides of the basket. There was just silly turnovers, and it was just going back and forth. It looked like jungle ball. But when it mattered, the fourth quarter, the Pacers stayed with it, and they pulled out a convincing win. That last 6 minutes that when SGA got back in the game, it was just ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, it looked like he was playing 1 versus 5. He wasn't looking to pass, and when he did, it was just to get the ball back. And I mean, he traveled, he threw away the ball a few times, missed easy shots, and he went back to trying to get the forced foul calls instead of just playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to win the finals for you.
No, well, I mean, sometimes it can, right? Depending on who you are. I don't know if your rapport as a superstar, if your SGA is quite there yet, where you're going to get those calls at the end of finals games to really determine how the games go.
Well, it's like the reporters were saying, if there was the regular season, he would have got those calls.
Absolutely.
He got them all season.
But because it's the finals and it's like, no, you need to earn this win. Like, referees aren't just going to hand that over to you on the foul line. So I agree with you there.
But going back to McConnell, I mean, he was key. I mean, even if it was just 10 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals, I mean, that has never happened in any NBA Finals history.
In 15 minutes, too. Like, that's just over a quarter of basketball. That's, I mean, again, I know that some people are sitting there thinking, oh, that sounds like a normal situation. It's really not. It's for somebody to come off the bench like he did and be a facilitator, not only offensively, but defensively more. I think that was huge for the Pacers. And this isn't a new thing. TJ McConnell has been a constant contributor to this Pacers team, especially when they're successful. That grittiness is what they need. It's just like what Alex Caruso gives the Thunder. Just that rough, tough point guard that won't take grief from anybody, and he makes the plays that you need him to make when they need to be made. And during the game with those 5 steals, I think 3 of them came off of inbounds passes off transitions, and each and every one of them went for a basket. Like, that was one of the biggest gripes against the Thunder in game 1 was true, they were causing turnovers, but they weren't scoring the basket. And the Pacers are very, very good at doing exactly that, making you make mistakes. They will run you out of the gym, as I've said a million times, and they're going to score every single time. So if you are not going to or at least mimic that or be anywhere close to that, it's not going to be a good day for you. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the end of this game, though, I don't necessarily blame him for not wanting to pass the ball. Throughout this entire series, you have been lights out. You've been the one that's really been scoring the basketball at will, and you're the star of this team. Much like we've been talking about with Tyrese Halliburton needed to take over the game and take the ball for himself. That's what Shai was doing. So I can't really fault him for doing that, but I do agree with you. The mistakes at the end of the game are really what did them in. So
this is Halliburton in the post game. And my computer is frozen.
Oh, no.
Oh, let's try again.
Conversation was like, we got to wake up. I think that was the biggest thing. We had a couple bad turnovers there. We were playing a little antsy, probably is the right word. But I thought we just did a great job of responding. Like, it's the NBA. 10 points is nothing. 20 points is nothing. No lead is safe. So you just got to put your head down and just one play at a time. That's what it is. One play, one quarter, whatever the case is. Try to, look at it in increments that way, so you can stick with it.
I was trying to see if his voice changed.
You know what? It probably was in the midst of it. If you don't know what we're talking about, Tyrese Halliburton, I don't want to call it a condition because I don't know exactly what it is, but when he talks, his voice will randomly shift to a completely different tone. It's actually quite entertaining. But
they don't get it done.
My thought process with all of this was I don't understand how NBA players now, like what he just said, 10 points doesn't mean anything, 20 points doesn't mean anything. That's the mindset these teams come in with now. And that's incredible to me because I don't know, growing up watching basketball, if you ever reached 20 points, that game was over. It was a skunk rule at that point, and everyone's expecting you to start benching your starters and just giving up on the game. But the fact that now teams like the Pacers have the mindset of 20 points, nah, that's whatever. Like, that's how you know they have a championship mentality. That's how you know they're at least going to put up a fight in the next couple games.
Well, the SGA did hit the podium talking about the struggles that OKC had in the fourth.
It's hard to say, it's hard to say because I don't see it from like a bird's eye view right now. After watching film, we'll definitely have a better idea. But they were aggressive. They were heavy in the crowd. I'm not sure how many points they had, but it felt like that when they scored, like we're going against a set defense, and it's always harder against a set defense. So off the top of my head, those are a few things, but I'm sure there's probably more that we can weave through once we watch film.
You definitely look pissed.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to be after a loss, and this is why I expect the Thunder to come out and win Game 4. I'm not going to lie to you because just that's what we have seen. The Thunder are 18-2 after losing a game this season. So the likelihood of them coming out and losing Game 4, I don't think it's very likely at all. In fact, I expect the line for that game, most likely, like it did for Game 2, to go up. We saw 5.5 for this game. I expect it to probably be in the 7.5s for the next one because that's just what has happened all year long. So
and I think it's both sides. It's both teams. They usually bounce right back when they're in this type of pickle. But I had to bounce this one off you as we were talking about weird things. But Norris Cole during the after the post game was talking about if OKC loses and who they need to pick up.
If they don't get it done this year, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. We got enough assets. Nobody can outbid us. We have good players that are ready to play right now, high-level players, and we can match the money once we get our extensions right with Chet. Sorry, Chet. And then you package up some of those picks, and SGA and Greek Freak, we're going to see modern-day Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson.
I don't, man. Can you imagine that?
That could be a really interesting pairing. Likelihood of that happening, though, is
very low.
Very low. Very low. Because if I'm the Thunder, even if I lose this series, which I'm not going to, let's be honest, they're not gonna.
You don't think they're gonna lose
the series? No, yeah. I think the Thunder will probably win the whole thing.
I sure hope so.
I genuinely don't get me wrong.
If they play like they did last night.
Well, again, but
it's been back and forth.
It's been back and forth. So we'll see how it goes. But I personally, I love what I see from the Pacers. But let's be honest. You look at the Thunder, it's an off game. And what did I say yesterday? True, if you win this game, that's one thing. But if you win it by close, it's a completely different thing.
And it is a lot closer game than it was.
Than it looks.
Yeah.
Like, granted, they won by 9. But let's be honest, throughout this entire game, at most, they led by 3, 4. So this wasn't a game where you can really look and say the Pacers dominated and really answered all the questions. Nah, not really. They found an answer. But if I'm the Thunder, I'm not that worried. I'm really not. I think we're still right in the hunt for this championship. And not to mention, why would you blow up a team that just went 68-14? Really? We're talking about a young team that no one thought was ever going to be this good, or at least close to this good this early. And you're going to blow it up because of the opportunity just to get Giannis. You already are right there to get the championship.
Yeah, don't do anything.
This isn't a goal. And for those of you who are texting, well, Golden State got Kevin Durant. That was free agency. They didn't have to trade anything for that.
And that was years ago because he's already declined not to go back.
Right. Imagine what you're going to have to trade to get him there. Let's say they even consider it. You'll probably have to give up Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso, Wiggins, maybe one of the Williamses, Lou Dort. You're going to have to give up a significant amount of
You don't want to do that. That's what's building your team.
So, no, I don't know. Norris is I see his point. I see the allure of what that could be. But no, I don't see that being a thing.
Well, before we take a break, I'll read off these 2 quick texts. One said, telling you body to body, I say the Pacers are a better team overall. Which?
I mean, again, these 2 teams are equally as deep. I'll give you that. But I have
still think
seen,
OKC is a better team.
Yeah.
But overall, we'll see.
Much like I said a couple series ago, their ceilings may be similar, floors are vastly different. So if I'm going to go with the team that I think is more talented, that would be the Thunder. That's just my personal opinion. But what's the other tech?
The other one says McConnell changed the rhythm of that game, and I do think OKC wins game 4, and we get down to a game 6, hopefully a game 7, which we're all hoping for
I think,
just
yeah,
entertainment.
everybody's obviously hoping for a game 7 out of this. But again, if we're going to go back and forth throughout this entire series, at least we're getting entertaining basketball in a series that I think everybody coming in was very, very disappointed about, or at least within the NBA, because marketability is absolute just arse for this series. But it is turning out to be the exact style of basketball that you would hope for in an NBA final series. It's been entertaining throughout. And honestly, is anybody complaining?
No,
I don't think anybody's
not at
complaining.
all.
I don't hear anything.
And
So
we'll take this break. We got some more NBA news as the Suns came out and kind of threw out what they're kind of looking for. And I don't see it happening, but we'll get into that and the details. But feel free to text in. We appreciate any of the text questions, comments anytime at 661-842-2000 on the Early Bird Special. This is ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. I'm Chris Rick. That's and before we get out of the world of basketball, we got a handful of stories to get to, including a couple more teams are shooting down the Knicks in their head coaching searches, as the Hawks have been the latest team to firmly say, no,
Yeah.
says Shams Charania. We will not allow you to talk to our head
And
coach.
Trae Young even came out, nah.
Yeah, no, you're not getting that either. It's just, look, I don't understand why you're even trying to talk to teams for their head coaches. Like assistant coaches, I get. That's whatever. I think everybody kind of can understand that. But I haven't heard once that the Knicks are reaching out to a team to talk to an assistant. They're trying to steal these teams' head coaches.
Which is 0 for 5 because the Bulls also
Yeah, the Bulls also
denied
said no, which is
Billy
a
Donovan.
wild set. They won't let Billy Donovan go. Because I'm with you. If I'm the Chicago Bulls and Tom Thibodeau's out there,
I would have traded.
yeah, I was like,
I
hey,
would've
New
swapped
York,
him.
here, like we'll take Tom. We'll take Tom back in a heartbeat.
But if we're gonna talk about a confused, concerned type of GM front office, it is the Knicks and the Bulls. So I was like, really? Because I'm not a big fan of Billy Donovan, but
honestly, there's probably some animosity in those front offices.
I'm sure.
Too, let's be honest.
I'm sure. But I had to pull this because Barkley had this to say about the Knicks.
The Knicks got to be the stupidest damn people in the world. Like, you don't fire no good coach like that and don't have a plan. I mean, Tibbs did a hell of a job. Obviously, something's going on there, but you don't have a plan. And now the 3 coaches turn you down. You got to have a plan, man. And they don't have a plan now. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
It don't look like they know either.
And no, they don't. But see, here's the thing, and I'm not defending the Knicks in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm about to say is going to make it sound like I am. Who's to say they didn't have a plan and it just blew up in their face? Let's be honest about it. Like, they probably had a plan. They probably sat there and said, yeah, we can fire this guy and everybody will want to come to New York because it's New York and we just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So who wouldn't want to come coach this team? They didn't take into account that all of these teams would be shutting them down saying, no, you cannot talk to our guys. Like, we did a firm no on all of these.
Do you think they're turning them down because either they're happy with their coach, they want to keep them, or they just don't want them with the Knicks?
Certain situations, I feel like they're happy with their coach. Your Finches, your Udokas, your the Hawks. I cannot remember the coach's name right now. I think that they're
Quinn Snyder.
Thank you. I think that they're at least content with the route or with the direction in which your team is going with this head coach. When it comes to teams like the Dallas Mavericks, I feel like they did that out of spite because they knew Jason doesn't want to be there anymore. And they're not about to let him just frolic off to a better, or I shouldn't say a better team, but a better situation for him and not get anything out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, that was one of the topics I heard this morning coming in was, what if Jason Kidd was, interested? Can he force his way out? Which
I guess he could.
I mean, he could try.
You could at least try to get fired.
But he's under contract, and yeah, you can try to get
fired. I'm just saying, that's a possibility. You could try to get fired. And honestly, I don't think the Knicks would care. I think they'd sign you in a heartbeat if they had the opportunity.
And before we get away from the Knicks, or at least the head coaching position, I want you to hear this Fortenbaugh, and I want to hear Burdick's response.
I'll tell you this, if you're a Knicks fan, I hope you enjoyed your run to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's as close as you're getting to a title in the next 10 plus years as you could possibly imagine, and you can go ahead and take that one to the bank. Bookmark the segment. Come on back to me anytime you're upset. You are not going anywhere further than you just did. It's over. You peaked. You know why? Because your organization just couldn't stay out of its own way.
I agree and disagree with this. I will never wish that upon any sports organization, but I see his point, and he's not necessarily wrong. The likelihood of you getting any further than this is very unlikely, especially since you guys can't get out of your own way in the front office and you're making really stupid decisions, much like some other teams. But I won't necessarily say that it's impossible, because I think a lot of teams were saying the same thing about the Pacers last year when their success, not in the same context, obviously. We're not calling the Pacers idiots, but I think that it's more of nobody was expecting the Knicks to really get this far. I think that they were built to beat Boston, but no one really ever expected them to beat Boston. And now that they've gotten that far, it's kind of a shell shock to them. So they're thinking, oh, if we make one more move, it's going to be
we're that close.
Yeah, it's going to be that key move to get us over the hump. So I have to agree with them in a sense of it's going to be really difficult for you to get back there. But impossible? Nah, I wouldn't say that. And I won't wish that upon the Knicks organization because I mean, you won't necessarily need to. Like you just said, they don't get out of their own way. So
well,
it's not
we
gonna
got
matter.
into this yesterday, and since a lot of current head coaches or the teams are unlikely the Knicks to even consider hiring
Mhm.
them, it looks like it's either going to be Malone or maybe Mike Brown, or maybe they change it up and they throw a name out there that we haven't even brought up. But we've gone down a long list in the last week or so, and it looks like they're striking out, but maybe they do. I mean, I'm trying to give them some bit of credit that they can pull something. But I mean, now that they've tried so many different coaches and getting denied, I mean,
That's what I think about. Like,
how does it look for, say, guys like Malone or Mike Brown
yeah.
that they haven't been discussed yet or haven't been called yet,
Mm.
and I mean,
Like,
do
how
they
are
really
they
want
gonna
to be
take it?
that last, option?
Well, again, I in certain situations, like Mike Brown, I don't think he can complain. I was like, you're waiting for a job anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. Guys like Mike Malone, I could see that being a problem because it's like, really, you just didn't call me. Like, you're looking for a championship contender, and you didn't call the guy who won a championship. Like,
You're calling Billy Donovan before you
yeah,
call me?
exactly. Like, I'd be a little insulted. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe they have. Like I said, like that's the thing that I think everybody is kind of just dismissing is them like not having a plan. I think they had a plan. I just think it was a dumb plan.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have a plan and have it be a bad plan, but like to sit there and say they didn't have a plan is probably a little bit of a stretch. It just didn't work out. And honestly, because it didn't work out, Fortenbaugh might be right, and they might take them a long time to get back anywhere close to close to the NBA championship. But I mean, if they get the right coach for them, say a Mike Malone comes in next year and figures it all out, they haven't really lost any pieces on the roster. The worst part about the Knicks is the front office. So if the front office could just stay out of the way and make one correct decision this offseason, which is find the right coach, I'm not going to sit there and say the Knicks can't get close again because it's going to be the exact same team. Just from what I would understand, better because you're going to have more chemistry and you're going to be more cohesive and maybe add a piece or two. So I
Well,
am.
we'll talk that missing piece and much more because the Suns did come out yesterday and they're exploring their options and a bit surprised on what they're looking for. But of course, you try asking high and kind of meet in the middle. But we'll see right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome. This is the early bird special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Before we get out of the world of the NBA, we've talked a lot about Giannis and where his potential trade suitors have been the last couple of days, but we finally got a little bit of a hint of who might be looking out for Kevin Durant because he might be on his way out of Phoenix as well, as the Suns have decided that this entire big three that they built between Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal has not worked. And really, not to my surprise, I kind of had a feeling this was going to be the case. However, it does kind of suck to see the team have to dismantle what could have been a really cool threesome throughout this league. I have heard the Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Miami Heat, Timberwolves, and Knicks are all in the running, along with several wild card choices. Although I did read last night, I believe on Sports Illustrated, that the Knicks are not looking to push for Kevin Durant, or at least not looking to push hard for Kevin Durant. I think they're more focused on potentially either getting a Giannis or sticking with what they got. But out of those teams, who do you think is the best suited to really take on Kevin Durant?
I mean, looking at the betting odds, it looks like the Spurs by a massive amount, but
Especially with the draft picks.
of course, and what Phoenix came out and said that they were looking for, they kind of want what they gave up, which was a ton of first rounders and a ton of players. But
which, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you did that a couple years ago when he was still in his prime. Kevin is no longer in his prime. I'm sorry. Not saying he's aging, but he is getting to that point where his retirement is far closer than it is away.
I mean, he'll be 37 when the season starts. So, I mean, what I saw was that they were looking for 3-4 first rounders and a couple players, which I don't think they'll get. But ideally, I mean, I would cross off Miami because I know they need a superstar. We talked about that after they traded Butler. I think ideally it would be the Timberwolves because it would fit nicely with Ant and as how he's growing. Having a veteran like Durant would be the same as what I was saying the other day with the Knicks. I mean, I would like to see somebody go in there and mix up, but I don't think the Knicks, I mean, they per whatever coach they have and what kind of plan they have, but I'm probably thinking the Spurs. I think the Spurs would be a good pickup since they have the stuff that to trade for. At least they'll have a better offer, you would think. But I'm still thinking the Suns are going to try to play hardball, and they don't want that 14th pick. They want the second.
I think anybody that's thinking about trading with the San Antonio Spurs right now is going to play hardball for that second overall pick, but I don't know if you're going to get it. I think they're hard set on taking Harper out of Rutgers just to build upon this young core that they have. And I do agree with you that the best suited team would probably be the Spurs, although the most interesting one to me is the Timberwolves. I think that could be a really interesting spot for him, especially if he wants to chase one last ring. And like you said, he could help a guy like Anthony Edwards kind of take on the role of being, well, one of the either most loved or hated people in the league, because that's what Kevin has been since he stepped on the court. And at this point, I think that that's really what you need if you're the Timberwolves, because if you could put together a package of maybe Gortat, DiVincenzo, and a handful of first-round draft picks, I think Phoenix takes that. I'd say Phoenix takes that trade, and you get somebody that is a better offensive fit for your team, can contribute a little bit more. The only thing you'll be losing, obviously, is the great defensive player that Gortat is and rebounder. But Julius Randle has at least some experience playing the 5 in the league, so you're not really missing out much there. And you could throw Kevin at the 4. And you'd be a vastly more versatile offense that can probably shift it a little bit more and maybe pick up the pace and keep up with guys that are like the Pacers or the Thunder, who can run people out of a gym. So I don't know. I think that might be the more logical spot if you're looking for somewhere for Kevin to really chase one last ring, would be the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't talk about Houston, but I mean, they're always going to be in the mix. I think they're going to go hard on either KD or Giannis, but
I feel Giannis is more of a likelihood for them
for
too.
Houston. That's what I was thinking too. But you know, looking at what they're wanting and what they're probably not going to get, and why it's unlikely is, yeah, Durant is getting up there with age, but he also only has 1 year on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
So trading, a boatload for a player that's only going to be pretty much a rental for a year.
Or if he decides to stay with you, he can sign up to, I believe they said like a 2-year, $116 million deal is probably what you're going to get. So that's a lot of money for him to stick around for two more years after that. So you'd have to maximize the years you have left with him.
Yeah, and that's why I think a team like, Minnesota, that were a lot closer, I think, out of those teams to take that leap. But this is what Canty had to say about what, the Suns are asking for Durant.
They traded Mikal Bridges. They traded Cam Johnson. They traded 4 unprotected first-round picks and a 2028 first-round pick swap. There's no chance that any team is giving them anything remotely close to what they traded for Kevin Durant.
That's right.
No shot. They are delusional. They are in la-la land. Put them in a padded room somewhere if that's what they think they're going to get. There's no chance.
Oh, I echo that sentiment 100%. That's why I said good luck, because he's not worth that anymore. He's not. You're talking about 2 bona fide starters in the league, one of them being a borderline star in Mikal Bridges, and multiple first-round draft picks. No. It's just you're not going to get that for a player like Kevin Durant right now, not at the age he's at, and like you said, on the contract he has and the age out, and just no, it's not happening.
Well, we had a text that said, why not the Lakers?
I could see the Lakers as well, but you're going to have to figure out the Luka situation first. And I think they're more focused on keeping him around. And honestly, if you do keep Luka around, that means you have Luka and LeBron on max contracts. So how are you going to pay him? That's where I'm going to leave.
You're going to have to get rid of one of them, and it's not going to be LeBron. So,
well, no, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, again,
I don't think not for KD.
No, they probably wouldn't trade the 2 of them straight up. But I'm just saying, I would not cross out the Lakers saying bye-bye Braun here in the next year.
Well, it would have to be LeBron. Yeah, after the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be LeBron pulling the strings.
Well, I mean, of course, he's going to choose where he ends his career. That's 100%. That's why.
Doesn't KD or Giannis? I know Giannis has the trade clause, but does KD not have that?
Oh, I'm sure he has a no trade clause. I'd have to double check though.
I was just wondering if he gets final choice of where he goes. We also had a couple more texts. Says I liked your talks with Cassell to New York. Means they probably won't go there.
No, probably not.
And I think the Thunder win Friday, and we'll see the best out of 3. I sure hope so, because I think if the Pacers take this one, it'll be pretty damn tough to go down 3-1.
Absolutely,
especially with a team like the Pacers. But
and Kevin does not have a no trade clause with the Suns, so he gets traded wherever they want to trade him.
Well, that's surprising.
Yeah, it is, but. And I agree with you. I hope we get the best of not only the NBA Finals, but the Stanley Cup Final too, which is kicking up again tonight. Hopefully, the Edmonton Oilers can even the series at 2. But at this point right now, I'm not complaining. The basketball that we got is so much better than I could ever have expected it to be throughout this entire playoff run. And my team got bounced early, so yeah, I'm not complaining. Too. I'm really not. Everybody who came into this series thinking, oh, this is going to suck, that the league is going to be so mad, which I'm sure they are in a way. They're not exactly happy that it's the Pacers and the Thunder, but the Pacers and the Thunder are giving them everything they got. And when you have talking points like where's Kevin Durant going and where's Giannis Antetokounmpo going this summer, I think the NBA is going to be talked about and is going to be fine in terms of viewership and ratings for a good couple months.
Well, before we go to break, the last one said, go Oilers. Tonight is a must win for them or it's over.
I mean, again, I can't say that because remember what we saw last
year. I can't say it either.
3-0. They came back from 3-0. Now, granted, they lost. I'm not sitting here saying they won Game 7, but they came back 3-0. That's really hard to do. So I count the Oilers out at all ever. And it's honestly, it's hockey. Hockey is one of those sports, much like baseball. Anything could happen at any point in time. It's not a high scoring game. So it's all more about capitalizing on your mistakes or your opponent's mistakes.
Well, we'll take this break and wrap up the hour. We've got local comedian and owner of the Well Comedy Club coming in, Dan Betts, at 8. And then we have another local 559 fighter coming in at 8:30. We'll talk about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. It's an interesting one. See, I'm so curious. I'll sit here and listen to the song all day. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Before we get out of hour one and get to our guests of the day, I got a couple stories out of baseball that I want to bounce off you, or at least mention one and bounce one off. What I want to mention real quick is on Wednesday, Andrew McCutchen reached a all-time high for his career, in my opinion, and well, one of when he passed Roberto Clemente for the most home runs for a Pirate. He hit his 241st home run the other day against the Miami Marlins, which put him in third in franchise history, right behind Ralph Kiner, about 60 behind Kiner. Kiner had 301, and first place is Willie Stargell with 475.
I was looking at the
what's
same
crazy? It baffles me though, and if you're a millennial, you'll know where I'm going with this, or at least if you're a millennial baseball fan. The Pirates have never been good in my lifetime. Never. Like, don't get me wrong, you've had a year or two of flashes of like, okay, maybe, like, especially the early Andrew McCutchen years. But when you hear the names Willie Stargell, Barry Bonds, who's also on this list, Roberto Clemente, you would expect this team to be just a long line of nothing but historical winning. And for some reason, the Pirates have just never been that team, or at least in my lifetime. I know, again, I have a very small sample size for their entire franchise. But when I hear names like this, it baffles me sometimes. It's like, wow, you guys had all these guys on the team and they all walked. Like, that's unfortunate. That is so unfortunate to me. But that's just me as a baseball fan. I'm also a Phillies fan, though. Not everybody walks out of Philly. We usually have to trade you. The other thing that I want to bounce off you, though, Sparky, is the possibility now that next year we could potentially see the bringing in of the automatic balls and strike system, the robot umpires, as it were, into the major leagues. There was an anonymous poll done by The Athletic where 135 respondents, chimed in. An overwhelming 64% of the players said they don't want it. They really do not want this in the league at all. They don't think it helps. Some of the anonymous quotes that they put in there all cite situations where it didn't help AAA at all, and there's no reason to bring it in. It just doesn't work that way. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think that this is a good thing, bad thing for the league? Should they bring in robotic umpires? Let's just start with that.
I mean, looking at it as a baseball fan, I don't want it, but as just evolve of where we're living at, where we're at in the world, it's coming.
Oh yeah,
whether you like it or not. So I mean, as a baseball player, I've always liked, or as a fan, really, I've liked the way for a pitcher or a catcher to know, or even the batters to know, okay, well, where our strike zone is tonight with this ump, or knowing, okay, well, he's not calling the high pitches, or he's calling the low pitches, and it just expands into an athlete knowing, okay, well, we know where the strike zone is tonight, we know where we're swinging or where we're not. And I think that's part of the game that you don't want to take away. But just like anything and everything else that we're seeing in all sports across the podium, is the AI or robots are not taking over, but it is adapting to the world we're living in. So we're going to have to expand our thoughts or our respect for what we're watching or what we're growing as a community or as sports leaders. But I didn't get to see it in the AAA. I know they've tried it out, I believe, in exhibition this offseason, so I didn't catch any of it. But I mean, have you seen any of it?
Yes.
And if you did, what was your thoughts about it?
So here's my thing. I disagree that we shouldn't bring it in. I think we should bring it in because I think everybody is taking this to an extreme. They're not getting rid of human umpires. That's not what they're doing. So if you don't know how this works, or if you haven't seen it, all the ABS system is a challenge system. For those of you who watch professional tennis, it's much like that when you challenge a referee's calling of in or out, and you see it on the screen. You see where the ball lands. You have a little scuff mark where it lands, and then it says, oh, look, they were right or they were wrong. It's the exact same thing. If a pitch is high and the umpire calls it a strike, your Angel Hernandez's of the world, and you don't believe it was a strike, all they do is say, they tap the top of their helmet, they go to a screen, the screen pops up what should be the strike zone and where that ball landed in said strike zone. I like that idea. Now, the only thing that I can see, like, argument-wise against that is, well, the tech always is. There's gonna be issues in that area, but that's why we should try this to fine tune it, right? And my other reason why we need to do this, and I've been arguing this for years, baseball has gotten to a point where it is so boring to some people that it is almost becoming caveman esque. You need to bring baseball into the modern world at some point. Replays, this, like, we need to incorporate tech into baseball at some point. Not saying you need to make an home run, automatic home run hitting bat or something like that that's made out of metal. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that you have to just at least bring it back into the modern era to make people want to watch it again in certain areas. And this also will give us as fans a way to keep umpires honest, something that we have been asking for forever. Again, I mentioned his name and I'm glad he's no longer in baseball, but Angel Hernandez, one of the worst umpires of all time. But because these guys have a union, there's nothing you can do about it. They can call whatever they want, and you have to deal with that. The ABS system will have an entire way of just keeping those guys honest. And honestly, they get reprimanded regardless for how much they mess up at the end of games. But this will be a good way for players and fans to at least challenge those calls, because you need that in the game today. You really do. And for those people who are like, well, it slows down baseball. Baseball's always been slow.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. In fact, we sped it up a couple years ago with the pitch clock.
And which I love.
Yeah, I agree
the batter and the batter box or whatever.
The only thing we're missing is the practice swings now. The waggles. We don't get the waggle
the
anymore.
waggles.
But no,
I know the older fans. I'm reading one of our texts that says "Hell no to the robots." Well, I could tell that's what my dad would say. And he was the same way with the challenges in the NFL or the NBA.
Right.
But you have to adapt. That's what the league is growing.
That's life. It's like there's two things that are constant in life, my friend. That is change and taxes. You're gonna have to deal with both of those forever.
With Father's Day, I'm not gonna bash my dad, but I can't take him to the movies anymore, because it's the same thing. Oh, it's the hidden things that they're trying to get to our kids. And I'm like, dude, just watch the damn movie.
Sometimes it's just a movie, man.
Yes.
Sometimes it's literally just a movie. Like I don't know how to
fighting
explain
bullies.
That to
I
people.
get it.
Like,
well, in my days, you take the beat down, and I'm like,
yes, you do, and that's a good point. But look, we can go round and round with a lot of this type of stuff. But that's my point, though. Baseball is traditional. I realize that, but let's bring it into the modern era. And no one's saying we're getting rid of the human element. The human element is still gonna be there. It's just we're gonna have a way to keep them in check. It's a good thing, in my opinion.
And of course, he says, "Okay, what's next? Robot players." I'm like, oh god, not yet.
I can see Bender bending Rodriguez.
It's coming.
I can see it. Let's see it. I don't care. Why not? Barry Bonds walked up juiced, so why can't we have a home run hitting
all this,
bat?
but where the hell is my hoverboard?
Who's to say Shohei Ohtani isn't a giant android sent from Japan? Yeah, so sit and soak with that one, Dodger fans. We got to take a break real quick, though, and pay some bills. We'll be right back on the other side with Dan Betts from The Well. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special, Hour 2. And we are joined by the Wells' own Dan Betts.
What up, gang?
How are you, sir?
I'm tired.
Are you?
Yeah.
I apologize.
I don't know how you guys do this.
Honestly, I don't know how I do
I
this.
gotta be honest with you. I don't want to. It's not my place to give you guys career advice. I know morning radio's where it's at, and you guys are killing it. I was listening to the show on the way over here. But if you could consider afternoon radio, like a 2 p.m. show.
I mean,
well, we can always pre-record
we
as well. We
could.
have the ability to do that.
He tells me now.
I've been telling him this for a while, but I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with you though. I would rather have a show in the afternoon. To be honest, I like sleeping in too.
But where it's at is the morning, right?
Yeah,
so here's what we do, guys. Going forward, okay? I'll get you on the calendar.
We come down to the well and we record.
Yeah, we'll all roll out of bed at noon and we'll record, and I'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'll even brush my teeth.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe him? Not?
It's like Anthony trying to push me to go on to open mic. I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen, dude. I'm funny at home
Look, man,
for 2 people.
I'm
Funny
with
looking, boom, roasted.
I'm with Anthony on this one. We're gonna get you up there one day.
No,
I think we'll
it's
get
not
him
gonna
up there.
happen.
Right? See, now we.
It'll
Little
take
bit-
a
little
take
bit
a
of liquid
couple shots.
encouragement.
Exactly.
There we go.
That's what
No
it'll
one's
take.
saying that wasn't on the table.
Good thing we know somebody who's got a lot of booze.
Yeah,
Right?
Burdick was talking about dressing me up like Ace Ventura, and I'm like,
You're the one who brought up that you have an Ace Ventura or
that was
impersonation.
a friend of mine that said she remembered my Ace Ventura in high school. I was like, man, that was before I hit puberty and the voice changed. But Anthony and his foot fetish and the Ace Ventura, it's never a bad
See,
moment
he's
when we have
building
Anthony.
already. He has a joke about Anthony's
Yeah,
foot
it's
fetish
coming.
and Ace Ventura.
I've been writing things down, but I'm not ready.
Hey, speaking of foot fetishes, by the way, you're wrong. The robots are taking over. Okay,
I'm just saying.
I listened on the way in. This is how it always happens. The slippery slope
Mhm.
guy over here that goes, they're not taking over.
They're not.
They're
taking
just gonna
over.
bet. Yeah, now.
Again,
Okay.
look, man. If do you want more Angel Hernandez's in the world?
I don't know. All I know is they're taking over. This is how Skynet happens, and it all started because of you. They're gonna trade. You're gonna be in the history books.
Look, I'm not Elon Musk walking around telling everybody to make an AI. I'm just saying that automatic balls and strikes might not be the worst thing in the world.
That's where it starts. And next thing you know, you're the guy playing the violin on the deck of the Titanic while the patio furniture just sloshes across it.
See, no, you don't understand. I'm the butler to the robots when they eventually take over. That's what it is.
See what I mean?
I'm all in about the
Submitting.
robots.
See?
Bring them on.
He's
See, he's
submitting.
with
He's
me.
I
hey,
love it.
robots, you're gonna take over anyway.
So
I was
just-
on the record saying I love you.
Yeah.
One of my friends, by the way, is
It's all about just steering the hate away.
yeah, a friend of mine uses ChatGPT, and he always says like please and thank you and stuff.
Oh, me
afterwards.
too. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, keep it
Every
polite.
time I use it, I said, thank you. Have a good day, brother.
Thank you, Skynet. Just remember when you do take over, I was cool
Yeah.
all along.
We've
I'm
been
not a threat
buddies.
to anybody.
We've been buddies before. Remember? You
Look,
remember
man,
me?
The Terminator is a very, very just impersonating movie for me, and it was one of those situations I did not want to be in. T2,
Yeah, but
was
here
very
you are,
scary.
like, oh, let's start calling balls and strikes, and then next thing you know,
do you want a liquid Terminator chasing after you?
exactly. That's how you get liquid Terminators chasing after you. So I hope you're happy.
I don't know. We'll see. I
Well,
don't think it's gonna get that far.
Let's get an update. I know the well is in the middle of moving,
Yes.
which you have any updates?
Yeah, we have a targeted. You get an exclusive right here. We have a target opening date of sometime in 2030. I think by the time we get done with all of our dang permitting.
Damn.
It might be an afternoon
it-
show by then.
We're in the middle of moving as well at MoneyWise, so I understand the moving and the checklists and how it grows, and then all of a sudden you get it down to a couple, and then it grows a couple more. I'm like, it's just an ongoing
Well,
thing.
and I've got code enforcement is the building directly behind me, so I can't. There's nothing I can get away with. You know what I mean? They're literally, we got a guy up on the roof, and that's the second floor window for code enforcement. There's people at the windows like, what are they doing over there? You guys doing HVAC? I
Just
don't see a
watching
permit.
you.
You're like,
Yes.
golly, leave me alone.
What about the toilets?
We're just
The
trying to tell
plumbing.
fart jokes. Leave us be.
Yes, right. We could do it out front.
We actually do. We are targeting. I will share this, which I don't think we've shared anywhere publicly, but I will tell you, we are targeting. I don't know if you're familiar with the space, but we're gonna have basically 3 rooms there, right? So
Oh,
it
nice.
was the old Fish Lips, right? It used to be one space, and they later split the building into 2, like a 65-35, and then we've got the
When Boss took over, right? That's when we
so I
first
think
did it.
that's when they did it.
Because I remember, I mean, we spent many hours at Fish Lips. My friend Shauna owned it at the time, and then when she left, they had crossed it in half, or not in really half. It was like 80-20, and it was Texas 28.
Texas 28. It's been a bunch of places. I think the building was built in 1950. It looks like there was a real estate firm there in 48, maybe at the same address. Then it was a bank. And then last I know, after the bank is like Fish Lips, Texas 28, Centro 18, On the Rails, Off the Rocks. And it was Sharky's at some point.
Yeah, before.
And then the other side, the smaller side, I'm only aware of 3. There was like the Chinese hot pot spot, El Cusco Teco, and Boss Pizza. But it's been through a ton of places.
So you had the whole thing.
With the whole thing, right? And so there's a rear like courtyard, rear patio. We're going to try to do like a beer garden out there and do outdoor seating back there too. So in theory, we'll have an A room, a B room, and a C room. And so you could have events going on in all 3 rooms, like Comedy Store, or the A room and the B room can open up and be one bigger room. And we're targeting 200 or 225 for capacity on that one. So working with the fire marshal to increase our fire cap. We're going to have to put in sprinklers, which is awful. I went to the city council meeting yesterday. They're getting ready to vote on the budget for Bakersfield, and I was trying to encourage them to keep their grant money program going. I was like, it's sprinklers are like 120 grand.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And I was like, and you want me to do those, right? You can't delay me months for permitting on that. You want me to put them in. If the building goes up, it's going to take out the law firm next door. It could jump the alley, take out code enforcement, which would probably solve some of my permitting issues. Which, by the way, I said while I was speaking to city council yesterday, it got a good laugh. It got a good laugh.
A couple.
I don't know if anybody heard a word I was saying about the grant program or the budget.
But they heard this one.
But I did get a good laugh. Killing it at the city council meeting.
Well, as we mentioned before, as temporary while you're doing all the side work and getting everything ready for the grand opening, you've been doing some shows over at Ava's, the Nile, and is it the same ones you guys are putting on your own showcases here and there at Timber?
Correct. Yeah, it's all like brought to you by the Well Comedy Club. So which is cool because we're doing these things at these other venues, but we're doing it our way, which is kind of cool. And I think, no offense to what they're all doing, it's fantastic, but you're getting more of that kind of well product just at a satellite location. So yeah, we got 4 shows with Cactus Tate this weekend,
which will be tomorrow. She'll be in studio at 8 tomorrow. That's right.
Oh my God, it's tomorrow. The show's tomorrow, right?
Yes.
And low ticket warning. I think there's some for the later shows, but we're getting close. She's moving quick. She's pacing really well. So hopefully we'll have all 4 sold out by doors, if not darn close. And then Chingo Bling will be at the Nile the following weekend. And we did David Lucas there from Kill Tony a while back as well. So Nile's super cool if folks haven't gone out and done that. And the shows at Temple are going to be awesome. And yeah, we're doing the Thursday open mics over at
the pre-games with Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing Anthony.
And that's the only one, right?
That's the only one right now. Yeah. We were doing Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but most comedy clubs have 0 to 1 open mics. Joe Rogan won't shut up about having 2. We run 3. So it's hard to, it's like he's got Spotify money,
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. But, and so we're targeting to open up the B room mid-July for lunch and happy hour, and then conceivably the open mics over there, and then maybe some after hour stuff, and then targeting the A room August 1st. I think we've got all that.
You guys are close then.
Well, all that could slide by about a month, and I hope not. Right, I'm just dealing with code enforcement, and permitting, and the cabaret license and all that jazz. So it could be that it's going to slide on the calendar. I think we may be physically kind of ready to go, and just tying up some loose ends and training and soft opening and all that jazz. But permitting in and of itself slowed us down already, and it could slow us down further. So if we're not open by September 1st, you can fish me out of the Kern River, because that's it. That's it.
Well, as a say we're our listeners that were regulars at the Well, I mean, what changes can they expect?
We never did lunch service before at the former location. So we're going to do lunch over there. We'll do happy hour over there, which we weren't doing. We'll do after hours over there. We will have the beer garden out back, which I think is going to be really cool. We'll have patio seating out in front of the space, which is going to be cool. What else? We have full service. So We used to do like the buzzer system, which I actually liked. I thought it was great, but at least it was low on expenses for us. But we'll do full servers, full food service over at the new location. What else? What else can I say? The green room is going to be enormous and amazing, and we're going to have a podcasting studio down in the basement. It used to be a bank vault down there. That'll be the podcast.
Oh, nice.
That'll be the podcasting studio.
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So I'll need your help, Steve,
anytime
when the time comes.
You know I got you. But menu, I'm on a diet right now, so I'll be slim and ready to eat by then.
Yeah, we'll have a
same type of menu, or
something for you if you're trying to slim down. We'll do like
I'll be done by then. I'm on a 90-day diet.
We'll do like a Doge sandwich. It's just bread. There were budget cuts.
That was my main issue, was the bread. So
fine, just bacon for you. Just bacon.
Got to bulk up for the winter.
We'll do the same. We'll do the same standard menu in the beginning, and we're working on our lunch menu right now. We brought in a full-time kitchen manager and chef who's fantastic.
Beautiful
guy named Christian, and we're working on a Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich, which I think will be awesome.
Sweet.
And people told us like, oh, there's lots of Italian beef in Bakersfield, and Mamma Mia's does, and Luigi's. I was like, no, you're talking about either a steak sandwich or a tri-tip sandwich, or maybe a French dip. This would be a Chicago style.
I love
You've
it.
seen The Bear. If anybody's seen The Bear, right? Made Italian beef more popular. So that's the plan for that. Was that all boring? Should I talk?
No, I'm excited.
How am I doing? Am I as funny as Anthony? Should we talk about feet?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up, guys.
No, you're good. Aside from this weekend, Cactus, and next week is Chingo.
Yes.
Anything else on the calendar before we move over?
Yeah, we have Steph Talev for August 23rd, and I think her Netflix special comes out June 24th. So she's an absolute murder. It's a show that I've been excited to get after for a long time. So again, we're targeting August 1st. It may slide, but I'm really hoping for sure by the 23rd we do that one. Otherwise, we may rehome that show. But Steph Talev, August 23rd. We also have Hans Kim mid-September. And in October, we have Jim Norton and who else? Jim Norton and Giannis Pappas, who's also got a special coming out. He's on his press junket right now doing the Joe Rogan pod. You guys might have heard of it. It's its views and listens are a little bit under what we're doing here.
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
But he's got moxie. He may catch us.
I mean, eventually. He's got a couple years behind
that Joe Rogan guy. Yeah, he'll catch up.
I mean, he's got some friends that might be able to help out with that.
Yeah, before the robots take over.
Yeah, until then. But no, you can always check their social media. They're always posting, and if you need tickets, he said the limited tickets. Trust me, after you hear Cactus tomorrow, I've followed her, and we share videos. Me and my wife. She is hilarious. I'm hoping to be in town tomorrow so I can go to the show. But if you need tickets, go to thewellcomedyclub.com and get your tickets while you can.
Check out the podcast here, and also check out. You guys are gonna have some links on your website with pictures of my feet.
Well, I didn't know we were going that far. I thought Anthony was the only one that did that.
Those are the DMs.
Yeah, it was like I thought you wanted to get paid for that.
I shaved my toe knuckle hair this morning just for you guys.
Instead of brushing your teeth.
Underneath his socials, he'll have his Feet Finder account right there.
I was picking him at red lights on the drive over.
Oh my god. Real quick before we let you go though, because you mentioned this and I'm curious. So for those people who want to go to the shows before you guys open the new location, you mentioned that you guys are kind of doing it your way. What way are you doing it differently than what they would usually see at Temple?
Well, just for one thing, we're staffing the show as well, right? So typically, if you were doing, if they were doing a show over there, it's their staff. If we were renting the room, it'd be their staff. But it's our same. Our GM will be there, and our door guys, our ushers, whatever. So the seating. In fact, we're using some of our furniture and stuff over there too. So we're still running the VIP booths. We're still running the VIP tables, although I think all VIP tickets are sold out to all 4 shows at this point. The custom VIP lounge booth area that we had at the club, we won't have that, but there's like a whole couch, coffee table set up, super comfortable. So nice. We're doing, we'll do sound and this, that, the other. So it'll have that same kind of feel. You'll have me out there doing the 10-minute warning for those who aren't sick of it already, but it'll be fun, man.
Fantastic.
Well, the final question I got before we let you go and let you get back into bed on your comedian routine or your hours that you get to work with. I mean, I think Anthony, or it was Boydston the week before, he had to drive back from LA and get here by 7:30 or 8, and he was ready. He was ready for bed. But my thing is, with all the things you're doing aside from booking shows and revamping an older building for the new well, are you still getting on stage? Are you still, or are you just kind of just getting this done before you can get back on stage? Plus you have kids and you have a wife. I mean, it's got to be a robot. You need a clone of
I need
yourself.
a robot. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, my own comedy definitely took a hit. I mean, the background story, but we decided to move the club super fast. Like literally, we went, you know what? We're moving in 30 days. So we ran 2 more weeks of shows, temporarily paused the shows, and then took the leap to move into the other building because the opportunity was there. And if we waited, we were going to miss it. So super fast. And it was funny, right during that period, I was headlining 2 weekends in Canada at Yuck Yucks. I was doing Calgary and Edmonton, and had the flights booked, was bringing a feature with me, was bringing, not Boydson, that was a different one, but was bringing a feature to both those shows, had the hotels booked and everything. And I was like, there's no way I can be out of town and do that right now. So I canceled those dates, unfortunately. And then I was doing a tour with my buddy for Nurses Night Out. We had Atlanta, New York, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Nashville, all over the place. I canceled most of those. I pulled out of most of those dates. I am doing Atlanta next month. I just opened up for Tom Green when he was in town too, which was fun. So still doing some shows here and there, just being super selective about what I'm doing. So it sucks. Like I'm miserable. All I want to do is be on stage, telling fart jokes. It's the only thing it's literally the only thing I'm good at in life. And I'm over here acting like a general contractor right now, which is miserable, but,
we're almost there, brother.
Almost
we'll get there.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate your time. Get you some rest, and hit me up whenever you need some help. We're always here. We appreciate you. Check out Daniel Betts Comedy on Instagram, all your socials, plus thewellcomedyclub.com. Follow them, and we'll have Cactus Tate, so we'll continue to bring the most updated news as we can with the only full-time comedy club coming back to Bakersfield here very soon. We appreciate you, brother. Have a good day.
Appreciate you guys. You guys are the best, man. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. We got to take a break real quick and pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Remix. Sorry, I'm going to find somewhere else. Welcome back to the early bird special on Chris Burke. Let's shift into a little bit of football because we got a story developing out in Cincinnati. Brother, I don't know what's looking worse for Cincinnati. The fact that you can't pay your running or your rookie, or the fact that you just walked out. I really don't know. Like, it has gotten to the point where Shamar Stewart is done with the team already.
Yeah, I walked out of camp yesterday.
I can't, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I get the frustrations. I understand, especially between him and Trey Hendrickson. You can't pay either of them. But this is what I was worried about when I heard you're paying T. Higgins and Jamar Chase buku money. Like, I get one of them, but both of them?
And you see what the problem is, right? With the rookies contract is the Bengals want to include a clause that would void Stewart's guaranteed money in future years.
Stupid.
Which he's saying, well, you didn't do that to Amarius Mims last year, and I'm a higher pick. So why are you trying to get cute with my contract when you didn't do it last year with your first rounder? And plus he's now throwing in veterans like Trey. And if we have time, whether it's later in the show or early tomorrow, because we have a lot of stuff we're going to get in tomorrow ahead of Father's Day. But one of the stories is that we have a new reporter over at CBS that sent me the breakdown of the key 5 free agents or guys that are dealing with contract issues. And Stewart is at the point where he doesn't even want to sign his rookie deal until Trey gets locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And Trey, it looks like Trey's not even going to get locked in before kickoff of week 1.
If at all.
If at all, exactly. So if they not only miss with Trey, but they miss on their first rounder after releasing Pratt, who signed with the Raiders yesterday, I mean, they're digging a hole. And what it sounds like is they're going to go all in on offense, like we've talked about. But what do you always say? Defense or offenses will win you games, but defenses win championships. And considering, the Bengals are teetering on, I mean, they were the 30th total defense last year, and you lose Hendrickson and lose Pratt, which led your team in tackles and led your team in sacks with Hendrickson. I mean, those are 2 major guys that you'll be missing. So, I mean, I don't know what they're thinking.
I can only speak from what I've watched from the last couple of years, and being an Atlanta Falcons fan, I can firmly tell you right now, offense ain't going to win you a Super Bowl. Atlanta had the number 1 offense in the league and still lost. In fact, it was the 28-3 year. I hate to bring that up, but it is what it is. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. You need a balance. And honestly, this is just turning into really poor team management, in my opinion. And it is just going to be a really big stain on your front office going forward. Because now, again, like I said yesterday, every defensive player going in, or at least getting a consideration from Cincinnati, is probably not going to want to go play there because they know how they're going to be treated, or that they're going to be lowballed on their contract, or, this, that, or the other. So I don't necessarily blame guys like Shamar for walking out. And honestly, good on Stewart for stepping up and trying to get Trey his money too, because he's sitting there thinking, this is ridiculous. We heard what he said the other day. We played it for you. It's like the fact that he was the sack leader in the NFL for 2 years running and you're still not going to pay him is absurd to me.
So I listened to an interview with Schefter yesterday, and he was saying he pretty much copied exactly what you said. He's like, I give this guy Stewart credit because not only is he standing up for himself, but he's seeing his future.
That's a team player right there.
Yeah, not only does he want Trey to get signed, but now he's thinking, okay, well, if I go out and lead the team in tackles or sacks, I still don't have a job. I don't have a confirmed job if they're going to do these to these veterans. And then why would I want to be on that team? But he did bring up, I mean, I don't remember seeing anything like this with first rounders in the last few years, but
we usually have like these long dragged out contract negotiations, but you're right. Usually they sign by now.
But Stewart or Schefter was saying Stewart has very limited options. He said he can potentially sit out the entire 2025 season and re-enter the draft next year, which I have never heard of.
Never
And
really
I was
seen
like,
that.
really?
I knew that was a possibility, but I've never seen it done before.
He said it would be a significant financial risk, obviously,
Absolutely.
but not only sitting out a year, but
Well,
since he's not under contract, he said after you've been selected by a team doesn't mean anything unless you've signed your deal. So he can sit out this whole year.
so you wouldn't
and
become a
re-enter.
free agent.
Nope.
That's interesting.
He would
now I
have to
think about
re-enter
that.
the draft next
Huh.
season.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, it's not out of the ordinary, I would say, because I'm sure it is out of the ordinary. It's not what I mean by that. I'm sorry. It's not out of the realm of possibility that could happen. My only issue with this is if you're Shamar Stewart, one, like you said, financially, that's a huge hit for you. But two, I'm also sitting here thinking you as Shamar Stewart playing at Texas A&M last year, you come in as a physical, like prototype kind of a player that has a lot of upside and potential. But what you did at Texas A&M didn't really mimic that. Like what you did in college wasn't exactly show stopping. So you're also running the risk of not being a first round draft pick next year and potentially sliding to third, fourth, fifth round because you've been sitting out of football for a whole year. Everybody knows that has a long lasting effect. And who's to say that the Cincinnati Bengals don't draft you again?
Yeah, how funny would that be?
Honestly, well, I mean, obviously he would probably pick up the phone and say no,
Nope, it's not
but
gonna happen.
I just there are a realm of possibilities that could really shoot him in the foot if he does do that. So I don't see that being a thing. I think they get the deal done eventually, but at this point, I just say good for him for standing up, not only for himself, but for a veteran that he's not played with before ever. This is their first time meeting, and he's stepping up for him. In my personal opinion, that's a guy you want in the locker room.
Yeah, and
That's
he
the guy that's
said
going to make it
on
done.
his
or
way
get it
out
done.
that it wasn't about contracts that why
Yeah.
he walked out. He said he walked out because he wouldn't want to be a distraction to his future teammates. So hopefully they
Smart.
get a deal, but we'll keep an eye on that one. But we'll take our break. We've got Julio from the 559 fights coming up right after this break on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick, that's Sparky, and we have one last guest in the house with us today. We have another 559 fighter in the house. Go check out their next fights going on at the Eagle Mountain Casino this Saturday. I believe tickets are still available.
Yep.
559fights.com.
Yep, and if you can't make it, they do have some streaming options. You can still catch it, but you got the two-time champ.
Absolutely, two-time or 559 bantamweight champion. They sent us Julio, but he goes by Isaac Larave, right?
Yeah,
That is
Preferably Isaac.
Isaac.
You
Is there a
know,
reason
I got
behind
time
that, or just,
Yeah, so I'm a junior, and I just didn't see my dad much growing up. Oh, I didn't.
yeah?
So my
It's
bad.
radio, my brother. You got to talk into the microphone.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah, of
good.
course. So I go by Isaac mainly because that's my middle name, and that's the name my mom gave me. I'm a junior, so my first name is Julio, which is my dad's name. But I just didn't see much of him growing up, so I kind of more connected with the name
With
of my
your
mom. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Plus, JJ doesn't have the same name.
Yeah.
So we were talking to Salvador yesterday. Obviously, you guys are both bantamweights, but you're fighting in the bantamweight weight class in this upcoming fights, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about your opponent coming in.
He has one draw in pro, but professional, I believe. I mean, but in amateur, I believe he was 5-1. Definitely not a easy opponent. I'd say he's definitely got some skill to him. No pushover for sure, but I don't think I'm lacking in that sense either. I feel like it should be a good match. He's definitely on the longer side. He's I think 6 feet tall, and I'm around like 5'8", 5'7".
He's got a little bit of length on you,
Definitely,
obviously.
yeah. I'm gonna have to be working in at all times. As soon as I'm in, take my opportunities.
Well, and obviously, you said that your fighting style is more aggressive and stuff like that. So wouldn't that be a more beneficial move for you?
Yeah, 100%. I am very used to going against people that are taller than me. I'd say everyone in our gym is usually a lot bigger than I am, but it's because I'm on the smaller side of like the weight class, which I don't mind. Because it's always making me get used to going against people that are bigger and stronger. So when I get in there with someone that's my same size, it's usually a breeze.
Okay. And so with this fight coming up, obviously you have won the last 5 of your amateur fights. You're 1-0 in professional fights. What's
Sure.
the difference, in your opinion, between an amateur fight and a professional fight now that you've had it?
You know, with the 559 atmosphere, I'd say there's like no difference. Honestly, I fought for the LFA for my first pro fight, which is known as like a higher standard, higher end promotion in terms of MMA. But 559 was, I think, a far more professional uh, setting, honestly. So going from those two promotions, and of course, advancing in my career from amateur to professional, I'd say there's almost no difference. You know?
Really?
Besides the training aspect of going from 3 minutes to 5, that is the most grueling thing ever.
Really?
Honestly, yeah. Training from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, because my style is constantly go, go, go. So exerting all that energy for 5 minutes straight is extremely tiresome.
Right.
So yeah, it made me question if this was for me because I was getting tired at first all the time, but your body adapts. You know?
Right.
As competitive humans, I believe, as we put ourselves into difficult scenarios, we adapt.
Well, and obviously you've made a good way of adapting yourself. We talked off the air about how you changed your game a little bit and you changed your fighting style. You started more with grappling, but you've since dabbled more into striking lately. Is the striking kind of helping you be more aggressive in the game though? Like, is it just making it a little bit easier to control the fight and make the pace go that much faster?
Definitely, if you're dangerous on all fronts, it keeps your opponent guessing. It keeps them wondering what you're going to do because if they have to be on their toes in all aspects of the fight, it usually leaves holes in their game. Because usually, when you're on the feet, you're worried about getting hit in the face or getting hit in any aspect of your body. But then you're not expecting the takedown so much, or on the fence, if you're getting hit in the face in a grappling scenario, then you get taken down. It's just constantly being ready to attack on all fronts.
So,
I'd
a
say.
self-indulgent question that just popped in my head because a friend of mine actually asked me this after talking to a couple of your guys' fighters. What hurts worse? Getting hit in the face, getting hit in the body, or being taken down? Is from what I've understood, I know a lot of people who do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff, and they tell me the takedowns actually hurt worse because your pride gets hit more than anything.
Oh, I think that I'm pretty comfortable on the floor. Since that's where I kind of started with my career, I think that's a very important thing to get comfortable with at first. Because man, like, if you're on the feet, everyone has that puncher's chance, that people talk about. But if you're on the floor with someone that knows what they're doing and you have no clue what's going on, you feel like you're drowning. So I'd say,
So what
hurts more?
worse?
Yeah. I'd say getting hit to the body, honestly, because when you get hit to the head, it's kind of just like a flashbang goes off in the adrenaline.
Just a little disorienting.
Yeah, it's just disorienting, I'd say. Even when you get cut, you don't really feel it. It just feels like hot sweat. But getting hit in the body, man, it takes the stamina out of you. You feel physically just damaged from taking shots to the body. I'd say if I were to take any of those three, it would be getting hit to the body would be my last choice.
See, and that's the interesting part to me because usually when you see people fight, first thing they do is just go straight for the head.
Oh, yeah.
All they want to do is knock you out.
Yeah, everyone wants that knockout because it only takes one, but it goes for both. Getting the body in the right spot, it only takes one, but everyone wants that flashy knockout KO, which I don't blame them. It seems fairly sweet.
Well, I know when we talked to Sal yesterday, he broke down. I know this one's a little bit different because Sal's only had like a 10 or 11 days before he knew about this fight. So he broke down the diet and having to lose weight. He said, 10 pounds wasn't as bad as the last fight he had, but he did mention that you had fought Tyler Miller in the past, and that's who he's fighting. He told us the story. He's kind of kept an eye on it because one of his first fights was with Tyler, and he denied to do the fight. So he kind of broke down, and that's what I wanted to bring up is I know you're fighting a Muslim, but fighting Tyler, what do you think about, his chance? I know you've been in the ring with him, so.
Yeah, I believe that Sal is gonna get this in 100%. I mean, no disrespect to Tyler, he was a wonderful opponent to face. But going against Sal in training and fighting Tyler, there's a big gap in skill, power, weight. It's just I like Sal's odds very well. If I was a betting man, I put the house on side.
I mean, what got you into fighting? And I mean, what age was it when you first started getting into it? And I know it seems like you've been doing it much longer than Sal, but I mean, what really got you into it?
Sal's actually been doing this for twice.
Really?
I got into this when I was about 20. I was 19, but I was a month off from 20.
Last year?
I'm 23, surprisingly. I got some gray hairs to show. Yeah, I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and I've just been staying consistent. Definitely, I got into this because I saw someone do it on TV, and I was like, I bet I could do that. I don't know. I've always been the person where it's like if I see other people do it, and other people say it's challenging, I'd like to prove that I can do it as well. I've always been very competitive in nature. And I believe that God has given me this opportunity to kind of prove myself. Yeah.
Do you remember the fight that inspired you to kind of just try this out?
Funnily enough, it was Conor McGregor versus
Nate Diaz.
No, it wasn't even an MMA fight.
It was just a
McGregor
random
versus Mayweather.
Oh,
and then I heard about I heard about Conor after that, and then I started watching his fight, which that man was an amazing guy, an inspiration in the beginning, but
the money changes a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's all we can say.
100% it does.
So I mean, that's interesting that boxing is what really got you into the octagon situation. And obviously you said that your fighting style was more grappling. So like when you first got into it, what were you thinking more of? Were you thinking more I wanted to get into boxing side of this or the UFC side of this?
When I first started MMA, um, I started to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Mhm.
and I always thought it was cool. Like, there's people on TV being able to put people out, like put people to sleep, and
Mhm.
doing submission. I always thought uh, that physically dominating sense of like fighting was very interesting.
Mhm.
Like being able to just completely shut someone down physically without like having to hurt them necessarily,
Right.
like putting yourself in a dominating position over another person. I thought that was like a pretty cool thing to do, be able to protect people without hurting people, you
Right.
know? So I was really interested in jujitsu for the submissions and the just the aspect of what it represents to me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that obviously made you want to get more into the MMA style than
Yeah,
than
into like
anything.
grappling.
Okay.
And then of course the striking just came along with it because
Yeah,
you
that's
can't have it go in
nature
the
of the game, so
Yeah.
you have to learn how to
Yeah.
punch somebody at some point.
At
So,
some point.
at some point. Well, one last time, my friend, thank you so much for your time. Go check out 559 Fights this Saturday at the Eagle Mountain Casino. Doors open at 6. I believe 5 starts at 6:30, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
amateur fights I believe start at 3, but professional start at 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And do you know where you are on the card?
I believe I'm the second fight.
You're the second
Yeah.
fight on the card. Well,
So
fantastic. Well, go check out Isaac. Hopefully you win, my friend. Always in our corner, and we hope to have you back soon.
thank you. Yeah, I'd love to be back soon. Of course, with us talking about my students come victory.
Yeah.
There
We'll
you
have you.
go. There you
Hopefully
go.
next time you'll have the championship belt around your waist too.
That's right.
Oh yeah. No,
At some point.
that's the goal in mind. Won't stop until that's where we are.
Do you know like how far away you are from potentially getting a shot at that?
I had received it. It depends on the promotion. Some
Really?
people, some promotions want you to be with them for a while before they or get a winning streak with them before they present the title to you. But others are just like, hey, we have a spot open. If you can fill this.
Yeah, like we could obviously
Yeah.
hook you up with that. But I mean, you're a two-time champion, so obviously it has to mean something, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't believe it would be a hard thing for me to get in terms of
Yeah, I know.
performance.
Absolutely. Well, one more time, thank you, my friend. We really appreciate your time and good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you guys having me.
We're going to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 12:30 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special, final segment of the day. Check out the Stanley Cup Final Game 4 tonight, live from Florida. Game will start at 5 o'clock. Hopefully, the Edmonton Oilers can even this series at 2, and we head back to Edmonton with a more shining chance at the cup, because at this point, after watching Game 3, that was brutal. That was a brutal, brutal game, and I'm hoping that they do not allow them to get into the heads of, or I'm sorry, they don't allow the Panthers to get into their heads again like they did at the end of last game, because that was just ugly to watch, if you're honest about it, to be honest with you. But that is what it is. But we have plenty more to talk about in the world of football as well. I mean, Spark, where do you want to start? I mean, we only got a couple minutes
some
left here.
miscellaneous. The Eagles finally agreed to their first rounder yesterday. Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs is rehabbing his left knee after undergoing some bone graft surgery in January. Well, he is expected to miss most of the season, if not all of the season this year. But Diggs came out yesterday, said he is planning to return for week 1, of course.
Well, you would hope so. And it's hard for me to say that Dallas Cowboys secondary doesn't look different without him in it. Jury's still out, though, in my opinion, if him and Bland are as good as advertised, or if it's just the fact that they have Micah Parsons that's running at a quarterback every single play. And do not get me wrong. I am not saying that should count against them in any way. That's just part of football. That's part of the game. And honestly, any cornerback will tell you their job is so much easier when they have a good defensive end on the team that disrupts a quarterback. So they're just the beneficiaries of arguably the best defensive end in the league. And it's just going to show. I hope this year is a good year for him and Bland, so they could show that maybe they are as good as advertised.
We mentioned the Raiders picked up Jermaine Pratt yesterday. They have Shaquille Griffin, the cornerback from the played for the Seahawks with Pete Carroll. He is visiting the Raiders today. And I did mention the Green Bay Packers are taking the full $17 million dead cap hit on Jair Alexander. So that's a major hit for cutting somebody.
What's funny is I watch McAfee as much as I can, along with all the rest of these shows on ESPN, just obviously to get notes for the show, but because I do enjoy McAfee. But listening to Ty Schmidt talk about this entire situation, who is a diehard Packer fan, and he echoed a very good sentiment that I think that really it scratched my head as well. They dropped Jair Alexander. They have nobody at corner. You're switching other people to a different position to potentially play that position. And now I'm hearing that you're going to try to trade for Jalen Ramsey. What is going on? Why would you drop Jair if you're just going to go after Jalen? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. Much like the Knicks with their coaching situation, if you had a plan, it's a head scratcher, and I'm not sure exactly why this is going this way, but it is what it is. And we'll see what the Packers have when the season starts, because they're going to have a stiff competition coming in this year, especially if the Chicago Bears end up being anywhere near as good as they look on paper.
And news out of Jacksonville yesterday, the standout second-year wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. was carted off after a collision with cornerback Tyson Campbell, but coach came out, said he's fine, no major injury, full range of motion, could have returned, but we just wanted to keep him safe.
Yep.
But Noah Brown from the Commanders was carted off, suffered an apparent leg injury, and it does look like that one is going to be major. We'll keep an eye out on that one. And last thing I wanted to bring up before we wrap up the show, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen was talking about yesterday that he actually does want to play flag football.
And again, that does not surprise me at all. I knew some of these guys were going to be the ones to step up and say, no, I want to do it. Josh Allen is very on brand. Joe Burrow, very on brand. Justin Jefferson, very on brand. I just don't think you're going to get the guys like Patrick Mahomes and the older players right now. Because again, you have to take into account, this is 3-4 years down the line. Who knows who could be on this team? But I will say there's no better quarterback I would rather have lead the United States of America than Josh Allen. Best arm, biggest body, and he can run
Well, can you run flag football?
That's a good question. I actually don't know that. There's got to be some 5 Mississippi rule, right?
We'll see. I mean,
mean,
I'd have to see what the Olympic flag football rules are.
I know. We got to dive into that and figure it out.
But keep it tuned in tomorrow. We'll be live back 7 to 9 a.m. and we'll have comedian Cactus Tate in person in studio. Plus, we'll have Bolt Brady.
One final time before we let him go before the football season. So if you have any questions, get them in tomorrow. 661-842-2000. We'll remind you of the number tomorrow. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. This has been the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. Sparky, let's get out of here.